Hello, holy friends. We're continuing today Shara Kedusha, the gates of holiness. We're about to start the second gate, but before that, I wanted to read a little part from the book Intro to Kabbalah or Nerav from Rav Moshe Cordovero, where at the end of dismissing all the people who say you should not learn Kabbalah, he explains what's the right intention to learn Kabbalah. Before he says the one who learns Kabbalah for the wrong reason is someone who wants to learn because he's such a big Talmid Chacham. He wants to make sure he can learn also Kabbalah in order to, if he's asked question, he'll be able to answer. So for him, it's like an extra science that he's going to learn. But he doesn't learn it, therefore, for the right reason. It's mostly because he has a lot of arrogance as a bad gaiva. Here he say, just want to read to you the part where he says, what is the group who learns it for the right reason? He says like that, the worthy group consists of those who take the straight path and have a portion in the mastery of scripture, a portion in Gemara and its laws, which we consider to be called Mishnah, and a portion in the science of Kabbalah, which is very similar to what the Rambam says, that you have to split your learning into three. And that will follow. Well, actually, here in the notes he mentioned the Rambam in Chod Talmud Torah. That you split your learning in three, so you don't have to master everything, as opposed to what people say. Oh, you have to know all of Shas, all of Talmud before you learn Kabbalah. No. Obviously, the more you know, the more you understand Kabbalah, but it doesn't refrain you from starting. So you learn a little bit of scripture every day, a little bit of Talmud and Mishnah Talmud, and then you learn a little bit of Kabbalah. It's really almost corresponds to Nefesh Ruach Neshama. It doesn't say here, but I'm pretty sure that if we look into the deeper works of Kabbalah, I will explain the different levels. So let's continue. He says, they study it for its own sake, in order to enter into its mysteries, to know their master, and to unify through their performance of commandments the Holy One, blessed be He, and His Shechina. The famous meditation that we said before we're supposed to learn or do anything holy, Leshem Yichud Kudsha Brichu Ushchinteh, which means that we want to unite the divine presence on earth with Hashem, meaning that we want Hashem to be completely revealed in this world, because as of now we don't see Hashem's presence here. We see it only if we go in spiritual worlds. But what we want is that Hashem, who is revealed in the spiritual world, become completely revealed in this physical world. That's one of the basic meaning of Leshem Yichud Kudsha Brichu Ushchinteh that you see before prayers in the prayer book, or before people do an action, holy action. So I wanted also to mention, it says here in one of the notes that when one dies, what's happening is that when you go to heaven, it's in the Midrash Mishlei. So God says, did you spend time learning Torah? But another question that Hashem is going to ask, because it's something to us, what is God is going to ask you when you die, right? So this famous thing. So he always says, did you learn Torah? Did you make specific time to learn Torah? But nobody mentions this part. So it's a Midrash Shochech Tov ala Mishlei on Proverbs. It says, my son. So Hashem speaks to us. My son, since you have occupied yourself in Talmud, have you gazed upon the Merkava, the works of how the Kabbalah works, the whole system works? Have you looked upon my throne of glory? What is the measurement of my palm? What is the measurement of the toes of my feet? Which just refers to works of the Shiur Koma, the size of God. Obviously, it's all metaphorical. You cannot take anything like that literally, but it's to tell you, did you try to really get close to me, understand who am I? It's as if to say, why you're created, to understand your spouse to the deepest level? Do you understand every move of your spouse? Do you know what she thinks, what she feels, why she's gonna act like that, this or like that? That's exactly what we're doing. If you live with your spouse and you only live a superficial life, hi honey, how are you? I'm good, dada, and then good night and good morning, and then spend some time fun together. But you never really go inside. You try to really understand the other in depth. That's really what it's saying here. You can have a relationship of boyfriend girlfriend with the Torah. And the Torah says no, marry me. That's why there's a whole mashal that we're marrying the Torah. The Torah is the daughter of God, and we're marrying her, so to speak. So we have to understand that we have to really go in depth. We're not here to be superficial. We, as human beings, we're not here to live for the external, for this world only. We are supposed to go behind the clothing. We have to get undressed to sleep together, husband and wife. We have to become intimate. You have to remove. That's probably one of the understanding that in Gan Eden we were already pretty intimate with God. On the level we were naked, we were a level of intimacy with God. But we lost that. We lost that, and our level of nakedness became a physical nakedness, and we had shame. Before we had spiritual nakedness, which was intimacy with God. Okay, that's we can speak for a long time about that. But so let's finish that part. So they also study it so this is the preferred method of worshiping the Creator of all. That's the idea. You want to know how to serve God. This is how it is. Meaning to unite Hashem and His Shekhinah, to bring God's revelation into the world through your action. I know truly that such a person will go in his way with security. When he lies down, he will not fear, for his master will faithfully inform him of matters in the divine Torah that none who preceded him had attained. For each soul, let's listen to that. For each soul has a special portion in the Torah. Okay, that's very important. You who are listening to me today, you have something of the Torah that you have to reveal that nobody else can reveal. Because nobody lived your life, and nobody else can reveal the way you can reveal it. And that's why you're alive. You have something to reveal that no one else can. So you have a mission to learn Torah in order to reveal your part of Torah. Whether it's through speeches, whether it's by writing books. It says when you go to Olam Haba that one in the Gemara Bama Basra that in Olam Haba you're going to rejoice from the writing of your hands, and that's why we Jews are called Sofrim. That whatever you have written, that's going to be your Olam Haba. Your portion in the world to come is the portion you have revealed here. If you don't reveal anything here, you have nothing to experience there. So you're supposed to bring out. So we have to go out our shell of our false humility or our false, I'm a nothing, and then I'm teaching from whatever I feel I experience. I'm not teaching because I'm great or anything. I'm teaching because there are things that I can share in the way I share it and the way I understand it. And you have your own thing to share, and you have to make sure you go out of your shell and share. It is part of the mitzvah of learning Torah. Lilmod ulelamed, to learn in order to teach. So it's two separate parts. So whatever you learn, that's why the Rav Noach Weinberg that says, you know one word of Torah, you teach one word of Torah. And the way you're going to teach it is going to be different than someone else. Or you have to find what's unique in the way you teach. What's unique about you, they're going to teach it the way you're going to teach it. Okay? Okay. So enough of the introduction. Let's go now right away into the mysteries of the gates of holiness. We're up to the second gate. Very exciting. First chapter, second gate. Page 10 on our book translation, The Gates of Holiness. Okay. So the second gate deals with the continuous fault due to improper conduct. The human character traits are imprinted in the lower soul, which is called the nefesh hayesodit. Right, yeah. No, I know the Hebrew from that part, so that's why I said the basic nefesh. It says nefesh hayesodit, the foundation soul, which is lower. This nefesh, this soul, includes 4 features, and obviously it's connected to what we have said before. If you have a number in Kabbalah or in Judaism, in Gematria, whatever that number is going to connect always to all those other numbers. Sometimes it's hard to see, but we're going to see here as example. We spoke about the 4 foundations. We know we have the 4 founding mothers, right? Rachel, Leah, Bila, and Zilpah. So, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. Those are the 4 mother foundations, and they are the foundation that brings out the things, just like the 4 foundation elements. And everything that is going to be 4, we're going to be connected to foundations, something that brings life to the world. Okay, so here we know we have the 4 worlds, which correspond to Asiya, Yetzira, Bria, and Tzilut. We're not going to explain those worlds now, but we'll explain maybe at another time when he goes into it. So here it says there's 4 levels: the inanimate, the vegetation, the animal, and the medaber, the speaking. So those are the 4 levels of creation: stones, plants, animals, and human beings. All of which are made of good and evil. As we say, everything has a mixture. And now, because he says that, we understand right away, oh, that's why we have to eat kosher. Because everything has a mixture of good and evil. If everything has a mixture of good and evil, then I have to be careful what I eat. Some things are more evil than good, and that mixture is poisonous for me. It has nothing to do with healthy eating. There's some things you can eat, maybe horse meat. I don't know what's good to eat, but let's say it's horse meat. It's technically it could be very healthy physically, but here we're speaking that there's a mixture of good and evil inside, and therefore it can affect us. As we saw before, anything you eat physically, it has. Oh, you're eating also the spiritual part of it. You're elevating it, but your soul is connected to it. So when you eat, there's a double eating, physical and spiritual. You're feeding your soul and your body, and therefore eating kosher is important. And a lot of rabbis who hold us should be the same thing for non-Jews. Non-Jews should learn to also eat kosher. They're not punished of course, by eating non-kosher. But ideally, it will be good for them, better for them. Okay, that's not the opinion of every rabbi. So some rabbis who deals with non-Jews hold like that. The good and bad character traits depend on this soul, and they are the throne and the base and the root of the upper and neotic nefesh. I try to remember how the neotic nefesh is called. I think it's nefesh asichlit. Let me see, I can find it quickly. Okay, second gate should not be hard to find. It's at the beginning. Let's see. Okay, second gate. Okay. Hanefesh Ha'elyona Hasichlit. Right, I was right. So so there's the higher Elyona, which is the higher Hasichlit, which is the more intellectual soul, and this higher soul is responsible for the 613 mitzvot of the Torah. Whatever responsible mean. Tluin Tariag mitzvot. It says in the Hebrew, it's doing the 613 mitzvot are dependent on this soul, meaning that soul is the soul that enables the 613 mitzvot to work. So as I already explained in the first gate, and though the character traits of a person are not included within the 613 mitzvot, they are the main determinants whether the person will perform the mitzvot or not. Okay, listen to that. They are the main determinant. That's what's going to determine the lower soul, the soul, the physical, the animalistic soul, so to speak, nefesh yesodit, which is mixed with good and evil, which is connected with the four levels of creation. This is what is going to enable us to reach and do the 613 mitzvot, to reach the soul, to be connected to the soul that activates those 613 mitzvot when we do it. We're going to explain in a second what that means. So they are the main determinant whether the person will perform the mitzvot or not. And for the nefesh sichlit, the holy soul, cannot observe the mitzvot with the 613 organs of the body, but with the basic soul that is part of the body itself. It is written that the life, the soul of every creature is in the blood of it, and therefore bad character traits are worse than sins themselves. Okay? This is so I want to read the Hebrew here because it's a little bit different. This is why you have to know a bit Hebrew sometimes if you want to make sure the translation is correct. It says, so reviewing 2 lines before, the character traits are not included in the 613 mitzvot. However, rather, the midot, the lower soul that is connected to the character traits, is the preparation, essential preparation, the foundation preparation to the 613 mitzvot in order to do them or not to do them. Obviously, to erase the bad character trait. Ya'an, we see ki ein koach benefesh hasichlit likayim mitzvot ad yedei taryag evarei haguf. We see that the higher soul doesn't have the power, the strength to fulfill the mitzvahs through the 613 mitzvot of the guf. Rather, it can only happen through the nefesh yesodit that is connected to the guf, which can only happen through the lower soul that is connected to the to the body. So what? Let's try to explain what we mean, because this is extremely important for me. When I read that, it was the biggest discovery in my life, one of the biggest. And therefore, he concludes. And therefore, the midot, the character traits that are evil, are worse than averot themselves. Meod, very, very worse, much worse. So what he's saying is that it's like that. I would like to kind of explain. I like to be visual. So let me see if I can use. Oh, okay. This actually, I'm going to use that. No, I'm not going to use that. So it goes like that. That we have the soul, the foundation soul, which has the good and evil, and it's in the blood, and it's connected to the character traits. My character traits are what enable me to do the good mitzvot, the mitzvot. So what does that mean? That unless my character traits are good, my mitzvot are not going to be good. So it's like let's say we look at the mitzvah. I'm trying to clean the world. So and my character traits tells me the state of if I'm clean or not myself. So if I don't work on my character traits, I become dirty. It's like I have dirty hands. And now I'm going to do a mitzvah in order to clean the world. So I'm going to clean the world with dirty hands. It doesn't work, right? You can only clean something if you have clean hands. So that's one example. But I want to go further than that. It's as if saying that your mitzvot, the 613 mitzvot, are only an extension of good character traits. So everybody, Jews and non-Jews, we all have to have good character traits, right? We have some foundation to be a mensch, a good human being. Or we could say, Der Eretz kadma la Torah. There's no Torah before having a good character trait. Der Eretz, being a mensch. So what does that mean? It's very literal. It's that how can you have prophecy if you're not humble? Humble come only to have, only if you're humble you can have prophecy. It's a chachana. You want to be a giver, so I want to do the mitzvah of tzedakah. You're only going to be able to do the mitzvah of tzedakah if you work on being generous and you have good character traits. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And therefore, all the mitzvot is to take all your character traits and expand them. So I'm becoming not just a good giver, I'm becoming extremely good giver, a perfect giver. That's you give tzedakah, for example, one of the mitzvot of giving. So it's stretching. The whole idea of mitzvot is to stretch the human being, to stretch the character traits that are already there. But if you're not already there, then you're in trouble. You're stretching only evil. So, and that's why in the Ramchal Mitzvot Sharim, and that's why we have to learn character traits before we learn Kabbalah, so to speak. I mean, to work always on character before we learn Kabbalah, or while we learn Kabbalah, because otherwise you're gonna do more damage than good, right? So we have to see the statement. We say, therefore, bad character traits are worse than sins themselves. That means because you're not going anywhere, you're gonna do more bad. So imagine, it's saying when you get angry, and we're gonna speak about anger here. When you get angry, it's worse than if you transgress Shabbat. If you speak lashon hara, you speak evil words about someone, it's worse than eating pork. If you let yourself get depressed and sad, and you don't do anything about it, it's worse than being a Kohen and becoming tameh. Right? So we have to understand how we're becoming impure. So we have to understand, or cheating on the spouse, that would be, it's also part of character trait. But it's part of 613 mitzvot. So we have to understand that we have to change how we think of a religious Jew. So we think a religious Jew, he does all the mitzvot. But I see a religious Jew getting angry. Then for me, it has to be the same as a religious Jew not keeping Shabbat. Right? So we have to see that being religious is not just doing the mitzvot, it's also doing the character traits, because without character traits, there's no mitzvot, right? The Baal Shem Tov and many other places, and it speaks about if you do a mitzvah for the wrong reason or with the wrong character traits, the mitzvah is trapped by the forces of evil and by the klipot, and it's put down until you actually do tshuva and change your character traits and you finally fix it. We understand, because we have so many Jews today who do so many mitzvot, and why the world doesn't look to get so much better. How come there's hundreds of thousands of students learning in yeshiva today? It was never like that in history. We never as many books, as many students, as many yeshivot. And why Moshe is not here yet? It must be that there's something still missing. And the thing missing is really the character traits. So I can guarantee you, if all the Jews who are learning Torah today, who are religious today, had good character traits, Moshe will come instantaneously. It's no question. The power of doing something when you're pure, it's extraordinary. But we don't work on our character traits. We don't work enough. I'm speaking to myself, and well, it's never enough. We do a little bit there, yeah, I'm going to do that. One of the things is to take the Mesilat Yesharim, for example, and the path of the just, and read it and apply. He tells you exactly how to work on every character trait. But it's the hardest. It's the hardest. The Yetzer Hara, the Satan, the evil inclination does everything to prevent you from working on character traits. Because if you work on character traits, you win. And so you're going to see what he says. You see what he says. Now you will be able to understand the words of our sages of blessed memory. Right, it says the Mesilat Yesharim, so that's why it's funny. We're thinking alike. Well, the main prayer is because I learned it before a few times. Anyone who becomes angry, so he's saying what I've said before, anyone who becomes angry is seen as having practiced Avodah Zarah. Kol הכועס כאילו עובד Avodah Zarah mamash. But actual idolatry, it's like you really did Avodah Zarah. But I explain in a second now, in a few words, why is Avodah Zarah. Because basically when you get angry, you're saying, I don't accept what's happening in front of me. If you don't accept what's happening in front of you, you say, no, how can you say that? Why is this happening? And you get angry. That means you don't accept that God runs the world. So meaning you believe there's no God, or you believe there's all the power. You believe that you are the ultimate power. It should go your way. And that's where we get angry. So it's actually a real Avodah Zarah. If we believe everything that happens for Hashem, even if you hurt yourself or anything that happens, it's all from Hashem. There's no reason to get angry. It's all for the good. Obviously, we're not all on that level. It takes time, and we can. There's no such a person that can never get angry. Even Moshe Rabbeinu, the most humble man on earth, got angry, right? But it's to say that we understand what the root of it is from. We're going to learn it actually after. Okay, so idolatry, which is the equivalent of all the 613 mitzvot, because if you do idolatry, it's like you transgress all 613 mitzvot. So meaning that anger is a worse transgression than neglecting to observe the entire 613 mitzvot. If you get angry, it's like you don't do any of the 613 mitzvot. Whoa! That tells me I better be much more careful about being angry than eating kosher. But how many of us think like that? We don't. We're more careful, we're more worried. How many times a year do we get angry, and how many times a year we transgress in eating kosher? Right? I mean, you're going to tell me eating kosher is much easier. That's true. It depends for whom, but it's much easier to get angry than to eat kosher, or not. So, but we have to understand, change our thing. When we see someone getting angry, it's like, it has to be a big thing. It should be at least as big as you see someone transgressing Shabbat, say, he transgressed Shabbat. Right? But we don't act like that. We see someone saying Lashon Hara, you should run away. As if you see someone murdering someone else. You run away. I mean, you see someone murdering someone else, you kill the murderer. But I'm saying, you know what I mean. Okay, so it was also said, he who has holiness, means is arrogant, of holiness of spirit, is as if he reneges, I don't know how to pronounce that, but he rejects God, and he should be cut down like an Asherah, which is a tree, an Asherah tree that's used for Avodah Zarah, idolatry, and many other things similar to this. You should understand that the character traits were not included among the 600 mitzvot that depend on the foundation, the upper nefesh, the higher soul. So it's as if to say we remember as nefesh, ruach, neshama. So we cannot tap into our neshama, which is connected to the 613 mitzvot, if we don't tap first in our lower soul. We first have to conquer our animal desire and fix our soul. So then we can go from there to ruach, to neshama. Right? It's a chain process. But so that's the danger. He's going to say, well, I don't want to say in advance his word. So therefore, a person needs to be more careful regarding evil character traits. Remember this phrase every day of your life. Put it in your walls, on your forehead. You have to see it every day. A person needs to be more careful regarding evil character traits than in fulfilling the positive or negative mitzvot. More important my character traits than doing mitzvot. For once a person attains good character traits, he can easily fulfill all the mitzvot. Because really, it doesn't mean you should not do the mitzvot and wait till you're holy before you do the mitzvot. It means you have to be more careful about it. It's more important to be able to do the mitzvot the right way. And you're not going to damage your mitzvot. And not only that, he says easier if you're a mensch, if you're good character traits, you're going to naturally know what Hashem wants. You naturally know what mitzvah to do. It's going to be easy. You a giver. Of course I want to give tzedakah. But if you're not a giver, to give tzedakah is going to be torture. So you have, again, you understand the idea. It's a glove. It's a glove. You have the structure of the hand. And if the hand going that way, then the glove is going to go that way. But the hand going the other way, you can put the glove. So this allows us to understand the puzzling words of our sages of blessed memory, who said that humbleness and humility lead to Ruach HaKodesh, divine inspiration. So the more humble you are, the less of an ego you have, the more you're able to have divine inspiration. You empty yourself of your ego of saying, this is how things are, and Hashem says, I tell you how things are. Right? This is how the world is. No, empty yourself. You don't know how the world is. Let the Torah tell you how the world is. I should get angry. No, I'll tell you how you should react. So you let the Torah become part of you, then you achieve Ruach HaKodesh. You become an empty vessel for the Torah. But if you fill your vessel with what you think things should be, then there's no room for Hashem, and you cause the Shekhinah to dwell upon a person. He says that's what enables the Shekhinah to dwell upon the person. Hashem has room to be there. If you reach, so you understand what it says. I mean, you invite Hashem in your life or not. You invite Hashem to be connected to your soul. It's like, if I have a bad character trait, then how would my spouse want to be around me? It doesn't want. Same thing. Hashem doesn't want to be around someone who has bad character traits. It's not appealing. Your good character traits is a magnet for God. That's as simple as that. Good character traits is a magnet for holiness. You want to be holy? Work as crazy as you can on your character traits. And working means, and I'm speaking again to myself because I know how hard it is. I've done it many times, but you have to do it again and again. You write on the paper what those are my bad character traits, the tools you need to actually work on it and fix it, and you do it. Otherwise, and you see which one works. If it doesn't work, next week you change. By the way, I'm going to give you at the end of the second gate probably, yes, a way to work on your character traits based on Sha'arei Kedusha. And you see, it changed my life. I used to do couples work on it, even whole family groups, and it's going to change your life if you do it. So Eliyahu, the prophet of blessed memory, said in Kala Rabati, just as the Torah is not understood by one who is ill-tempered, I reveal myself only to one who avoids this trait. Okay, another source about and here it's not the Ruach HaKodesh, it's the Torah. You cannot understand. You have bad character traits. That's why we can understand that today you have rabbis. They know all of the Torah by heart or whatever. They know so much, but they don't understand it. There's one thing to know information and actually understand the information. So they know, but because they don't have good character traits, then they're going to teach a Torah and they're going to paskin and give psakim and things that destroy people. Like all those rabbanim who give psak that you have to kick out your child out of your house because he's not religious. Or school who kick the kids out just like that without being careful. Sometimes you should not kick it out, you have to put it in the right school, but you have to do everything to save that child. Don't let him in the street. So we have that happens to those rabbis who give things psakim like that, is because they have the Torah but they don't have the character traits, so it ruins the whole Torah. By the way, this is the reason why the whole Sefer Bereshit, we have 5 books of Moses. The books are technically here to teach us the instruction, how to be religious. It's not a book, history books. But we have a whole section. The first of the 5 books is Bereshit. How many laws we have in Bereshit? Out of the 613 commandments, we have 3 commandments from the Torah. 3. We know there's no one word wasted in the Torah. How is it possible to have a whole Sefer, thousands of words that we read? So what we're reading about? We're reading about character traits. The whole Sefer Bereshit, it's in the beginning. What you do in the beginning, you work on your character traits. Decheretz, the way of the world, how the world works. And it's all about Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov working on the 10 tests and fixing the character traits, how to deal with people with difficult character traits. So we have to understand that. We have to understand that, and it's crucial. Only after Sefer Bereshit is finished, then we can start with Sefer Shemot, going out of Egypt. Right? We have the Sefer Bereshit. They go into Egypt, which is the soul with its character traits goes into the body. Egypt is the body. I'm speaking in the words of the Arizal. And when the Jews go out of the body, it's of Egypt, is go out of the Yetzer Hara, out of the limitation of the body, which is the Yetzer Hara, the Klipot, and finally we're free, Pesach, freedom. They go out of Egypt, and we receive the Torah. And from then on, in the Book of Shemot, you have all the 610 mitzvot, right? So we have to understand that it's so important. And by the way, let's remember, I can give you like so many, like I have a whole article here about being truly religious. You want to know what a true religious Jew is? What destroyed the world? What made the world become destroyed and what's called destroy the Beit HaMikdash and all the bad things that happen in the world? What does God say? What does He want? Everywhere it says, I don't care about your sacrifices, I don't care about your prayers, I don't care about your Rosh Chodesh, your holidays, all the mitzvot, I don't care. What do I want? I want you to be good, learn to do good, clean yourself, remove the evil deeds before my eyes, seek justice, strengthen the robbed, perform justice for the orphan, please the case of the widow. That's almost everywhere it says the same thing. It's all about character traits, taking care of the other, of you poor, perform judgment between man and its fellow. Don't oppress the stranger, the ger, the convert, or the stranger, the orphan, the widow. All those, it keeps repeating everywhere in Micha, in Jeremiah, in Isaiah, in Zephaniah. It seeks justice, humility. Everywhere it says the same thing. So we have to realize, let's not carry away. It's very nice to be Jewish, religious, but if you don't have even good character traits, you're wasting your time. So you have to do both in the same time. That's the only solution. Otherwise, you're going to do more evil than good. So now you know what a truly religious Jew is. Someone who really works on his character traits. That's why if you want to choose a rabbi, make sure that he works on his character traits. You have to ask him, how do you work on your character traits? I've asked that to so many rabbis. They say, I don't have a way. Those rabbis can be dangerous. You have to be careful. I'm not saying they're all dangerous. Not everybody. Some people are good. They have good character traits without working too much on it. But they have. You have to see that they are working on their character traits on some level. Ask them. That's what I've done. And you ask them, how do you work on this? How do you work on that? And they have to have some knowledge of it. Otherwise, you have to stay distant from them. Okay. So let's finish that part. They sent word. So, and our sages of blessed memory say they sent word from there. Who is destined for the world to come? Who is going to have the world to come? You want to know who is going to have the world to come? The one who does all the mitzvot? The one who learns Torah all day? No, that's not what it says. He who is meek and humble, and many other things similar to this. In all the verses above, the mitzvot of the Torah were not mentioned, but only the good character traits. Remember these words and you will undoubtedly succeed. Okay, you get the picture. I'm very excited about that because it's such eye-opening. It has to change your life. I hope this shakes you. It has to shake you because so many people fall in the trap. I fell in the trap and many others. Oh, I'm religious. I do religious stuff. I'm good. No, no, no. No, you're not good at all. You're good only if you work on your character traits at the same time. You want to know what God really wants? Hashem says 5 things. Mesilat Yesharim. To love Him, to go in His ways, I mean to work on your character traits, to serve Him with a pure heart, and to and to have yira, not in order. To have yira, to work in His way, to love Him, to serve Him with a whole heart, and to do His mitzvot. And the Mesilat Yesharim, the path of the just, says, "Oh, look, that's the last step." Why is the last step? Because of that. Because unless you have those 4 things, you have pure, you want to serve out of love, you have yira, to be in awe of God, and you respect people, you walk in His ways, you're holy, then your mitzvot are not going to be good, and it's going to be evil. There's nothing more evil than that in God's eyes. That's what we say. So you have 4 things before you do mitzvot. So you can't wait your whole life because nobody becomes perfect before we do that. But you have to understand there's 4 things before you do mitzvah. You have to remember that. Interesting, I just realized now, those 4 things can be connected to the 4 character traits that we mentioned: fire, air, water, and earth, and the 4 levels. I never thought of that, but I think it's connected. So let's finish one more paragraph. And as the 4 physical elements are the roots of the 613 organs of the guf, the 4 elements of the nefesh are the base for all the good and evil character traits that determine the fulfillment of or the non-fulfillment of the Torah and the 613 mitzvot that originated from the 4 letters of the name of Hashem, as I already explained. So therefore he's saying that the character traits which the 613 mitzvot corresponding on, which is connected to the guf, are the root. So therefore those 4 elements are going to one where you have to work on for your character traits. That's where, and it's correspond at the root to Yud Kei Vav Kei. So it's very holy. Your character traits correspond to Yud Kei Vav Kei, the name of God, and that's connected pointing to the 4 elements. So he's saying you have to really start working on those 4 elements. The noetic nefesh, the higher holy nefesh, which is the combining of the 4 spiritual elements that are the origin of the 613 organs of the soul, observe the 613 mitzvot. So there's the 4 spiritual element with Yud Kei Vav Kei on the also fire, air, water, and earth. That are the spiritual elements. Obviously, everything physical here is in the reflection of everything spiritual. Thus, you should understand that the good character traits are the foundation of the fulfillment of the mitzvot. Okay? So, here we're going to stop. We'll continue next time and try to meditate on what I said, because this is the secret of everything. This is the foundation of everything, the foundation of being a Jew, the foundation of being religious, the foundation of being Orthodox. It's the beginning, as we said. So may we all be able, with the help of Hashem, to remember these teachings of today and to be constantly aware of our character traits. Learn Mesilat Yesharim, learn the path of the just, work on your character traits, because this is the only way to be a real religious Jew. May Hashem help us and may we succeed. Baruch Adonai L'olam, Amen v'Amen.